everyone, and welcome to the Mindset Nebula podcast. Today, we have gathered to talk about the SAP job market. This is our second, I think, installment on this subject. We talked about it more than a year before, so I'm excited to meet with the same group of my colleagues to continue conversation. So with me, I have today Libby Kessler, Austin Kessler, Megha. They are great recruiters for Mindset, and John Bragg is our expert on everything, I think. So please say hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. So it's been a while since we talked about it, and I'm sure there have been some changes in SAP job market that you guys are observing as you're on the front lines, I think, of what is happening there. So Libby, Austin, and Megha, let's start with you. Do you want to share any updates? What are you seeing since we spoke last? I think it's been over a year, right?
Yes, I think it's been a bit.
Yeah.
And since we last chatted about the state of the job market in the SAP space, 2023, I would say, really slowed down. We were seeing much less movement for new SAP opportunities. But luckily, in 2024, we've started to see an upswing again with more opportunities now. I'd say it's still more so an employer's market versus a candidate's market at this time, but we're seeing more opportunities.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that. Across the board, it's been slow, and it's continued on into this year here. But there's those positions out there that companies are really looking for certain skill sets, to name a few: EWM, CPI, BTP, as well as some others that are very hot right now, and a lot of opportunities in that area there.
Right. And I think if we look at the current Indian market, definitely the demand for SAP professional in India is still strong. Despite the economic challenges, we see a fierce competition, and the companies who are looking for SAP consultants who have a diverse skill set and experience in the latest SAP technologies. And currently, a few skills that are in demand are, S/4HANA, SAP Cloud, and if we come on the functional side, FICO, MM, and SD are right now in demand.
Nice. Yeah, it's been, definitely, like Libby, you said, 2023, end of 2023 was a little bit depressing. I was on LinkedIn and I just saw how many of my connections suddenly had open for work, those green circles of death there. So it's great that it's finally picking up, and we're seeing more and more demand. In terms of skill set, do you see some kind of different maybe patterns that you have seen before? Is something maybe on upswing? Is there more or less demand specific skill wise?
Yeah, like I mentioned, Helena, EWM, that's such a hot skill set right now. We've got several of our clients doing EWM implementations that we're supporting right now. So, we are always looking for good EWM consultants because of the need for them right now in the market. Integration is a hot topic right now, especially with BTP and all that. So CPI developers, it seems like there's always a need from our clients for a great CPI developer. So that's another hot skill set, as well as BTP, just, in DataSphere and talking to other areas there, we're seeing an emerging need for the skill set in the market there. And, that's just to name a few. I'm sure there's others that I'm leaving out there that maybe Libby and Megha can help me out with. But that's just the skill sets that I'm seeing that are hot skill sets right now.
I think we've seen a lot of SD recently too on the functional side of things in the US.
And do you think are those related maybe to S/4HANA migration projects, or are these more like regular maintenance maybe, or just some kind of innovation projects?
think it's probably all of the above.
All of them.
Yeah, I was thinking from my perspective, just trying to think like what projects are still happening versus not happening. You know, when we say 2023 was a little bit down, 2024 kicking back up again. I think there's still a ton of S/4HANA implementations just kicking off, right? There's the people that were waiting a little bit towards that initial 2027 deadline that are just now kicking off, or still going through that planning phase as well, where people are really picking it up now for S4 at least. And then BTP is Austin, you said, that layers on top, right? As soon as you put S4 in, you need to integrate it with all of your other systems. So CPI and integration suite are almost, I don't know, I was talking to SAP the other day, like, oh yeah, that's table stakes. We know we're doing that. Well, there's a ton of integration work out there just because of those types of things.
Right, right.
So
And
I'm
just to-
curious.
Yeah,
Please go
sorry.
ahead, Dustin.
Just to add to that, I think the silver lining in a slow market right now is that there's only about 30% of companies that are on SAP that have gone on to S4, leaving about 60 to 70% of companies haven't made the switch to S4 yet. So I think with that deadline looming there of SAP saying you got to move to S4, that's going to create a lot of work, a lot of projects, and the demand for consultants, especially with S4 experience, will increase, I think, in the next 2 or 3 years here. So I expect it only to pick up, and we don't know when that is, but hopefully here soon as companies start to transition to S4 there.
Yeah. I'm curious, John. So you were talking about integration and all the latest and greatest technology. In terms of job market opportunities, do you think there are opportunities for maybe both SAP professionals who have some kind of experience, maybe ABAP developers currently or basis folks, and maybe for newcomers into SAP? Because sometimes I think there is something that's perceived as a hot skill coming forward and everyone, yeah, there should be demand for it, but then some time passes and turns out job market demand isn't really as great as everyone maybe thought for various reasons. Do you see any trends in this area?
I'd say, as we focused on BTP for quite a while now, right? Obviously gone through all the name changes of what BTP was and could be and what it will be next year. But the interesting thing to me on that front is that I felt like a lot of last year was BTP evangelizing, right? Not a lot of people were doing it, or not a lot of people were spending a lot of money on it, and therefore there was not as many jobs out there other than CPI developers and integrations, because it's a have-to skill almost. This year we're seeing a lot of the different areas of BTP related. So in our kind of 3 tiers of extensibility, integrations, and analytics, we're hitting all of those fronts now. Whereas like someone that was skilled in app dev hosted on BTP, like build process automation or getting a launchpad out there in SAP WorkZone, wasn't a huge conversation last year. Right? We didn't need those skill sets. This year, totally different. We're seeing a big uptick in that. AI has not hurt that conversation at all, right? So everybody's wanting to talk about AI and how do you do that on SAP? Well, that's a part of what you could do on top of BTP. So all these things mixed together, I think, lead people to want to, again, learn those skill sets as well and try to transition more towards that area a little bit. But yeah, no, it's interesting because I see the back and forth too. Like some customers could still care less at the moment, right? About needing to move or wanting to move. And that's for BTP or S4 or anything. And others are on that leading edge. And so we'll see this curve hopefully keep continually increasing, right? Also, what you said, there's still so many people coming on board. We'll see it here, I think, pretty soon.
Yeah. So I think it's a good segue into transitioning into different subjects slightly. So let's talk about ABAP developers and what is a job market for them specifically, and whether some at least should be seeking maybe some different opportunities, some upskilling, etc. So I'm curious, Libby, Austin, and Megha, if you have seen maybe changes in demand for related to ABAP development. Have you seen maybe changes in job descriptions any, again, trends or patterns that you're observing?
I'd say I'll go first. Overall, over the last, especially since we last chatted, we've seen way less ABAP development opportunities in the market. We still will see them from time to time, but it's nowhere near where the demand was a few years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because with all those kind of S/4HANA migration projects, I think the idea was there would be actually maybe increased demand, even though S/4HANA migration doesn't necessarily need a lot of ABAP development skills, but still you need to do your code remediation, etc. But I guess maybe either that demand has already been fulfilled, or there are tools that are better tools available from SAP these days than maybe a few years ago, that are maybe filling in some of the gaps where you would have to throw in manual work. So I can just speak for myself. We have interviewed some of the ABAP developers that were potential candidates for our clients, because we do have, I think Libby and Austin, Megha, you're both working as recruiters for clients, just looking for resources for them. And we do just a very first level of very simple conversation with the candidates to see if they're a good match for this job. And unfortunately, I still see some developers who have been just stuck in the rut of what they have been doing for many years before. And I have a suspicion that they will really struggle very soon to find some new opportunities. ABAP is definitely a very mature language, and SAP indulges us in being able to do the same things for over a decade, fortunately or unfortunately. But I think the warnings have been sounded for several years already. Even last time we talked about, probably mentioned that. But now I'm thinking we're kind of moving closer to that point where someone who does not know what like ABAP prep is not really aware of modern development techniques, is really going to be beginning to left behind. I'm wondering if you talk to candidates like that. Have you had a case when you were like looked at the maybe someone applying for a job and like, yeah, like this is this is kind of already, this is not enough skills for what we're looking for?
Well, I think
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Megha.
Go ahead, Austin.
I think in general, the more you can diversify your skill set and continue to learn and show that, and either through certifications or gaining that skill set outside of work, I think that only helps you with, probably now it's going to be a crowded ABAP developer market with a lot of people maybe not going along with the curve with moving to S4 and learning some of these new technologies like RAP and all that. And so I would encourage everyone to understand that with the movement of the market, they need to either continue to learn and grow and hook on to those latest technologies, or also, diversify their skill set, learn front end, or look into integration side, because there's going to be a lot of developers that I think are just maybe just working on the same things, and then these companies are going to be starting to look for new skill sets, and they may be left behind there.
Yeah.
So
Megha, please, you had something.
Yeah, so adding to what Austin said, Jelena, I think training and certification plays a very essential role in an SAP professional life. I think it's extremely important to upgrade time to time, because I think SAP offers a wide range of certification program that can help SAP consultants, validate their skill and, check or upgrade on their knowledge. And SAP also, they can take up free online courses. There are a lot of free online courses and training program that is offered by SAP. So I think the candidates should try to make the best use of those trainings, which is a self-learning training platform, which is really going to help them.
was just thinking, this kind of reminds me of a long time ago. Jelena, you'll remember this from
Back in
old
the days.
ABAP days of no, when object oriented ABAP was just starting, and I would always interview ABAPers and ask, the three initial key things. I'm trying this is I would always ask, like, what's the difference between private, protected,
Yeah.
and public, just to
Yeah.
see if they even knew what object-oriented was. And this feels almost like a little bit of the same thing of like, okay, can we start asking like some very, very basic RAG, RAG questions or CAPM questions or
Yeah.
things like that to showcase that they are learning some of these new skills and they are making sure that they're coming on board with where applications are hosted in this multimodal approach to all these different things. I don't know. That just popped in
Yeah.
my head for some
Yeah,
random
you would
reason.
be surprised, but even in 2024, still asking like basic object-oriented questions can be a challenge. Yeah, some people have just really, really strange ideas, I think, of what things are. So I would encourage everyone just to maybe read documentation once in a while. If even if you're an experienced developer, if you think you know, well, think again. You might not, or you might just have maybe outdated understanding of what things are. So yeah, so really interesting.
Jelena, following up
Yeah.
on this conversation, I want to turn it on you and John here, the technical gurus here of this chat, and ask you, what have you guys done in the past to stay with the latest trends, to really sharpen the knives there and stay on top of some of the emerging technologies out there, and be able to, if you're put on a project, work with some of the latest and greatest technologies there at SAP.
Do you want to go first, John?
Dang it.
Because I know John is always
Throwing you
working with those
under
older
the bus.
Good question,
technologies.
Austin.
Yeah, he's stuck back in the times there, So
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
what is this? I'm going to call it SAP HANA Cloud Platform. Uh, I don't. That's a hard one, Austin. This is really good because look, I think Elaine, you kind of said it, like, read the documentation, like go and read about
TFL.
stuff and see. I don't know. I've been kind of a long time SAP skeptic on things too, so I think that helps in some of those areas of like, how do you dig beneath the marketing and see what's
Yeah.
real, what's out there, what can you do? There's nothing better than all the free trials out there, right? You can sign yourself up today for a free BTP trial account as an individual and just go play, right? Read documentation, go into the system, read documentation, go try something. And you build your skills like that. But to like this whole group's point too, it's all about conversations as well. Like,
Yeah.
what can you learn from ASUGs or tech eds or the other areas? Who can you, like, in a development community, talk to about the new things somebody is doing that you haven't experienced yet, right? Maybe I still haven't been on an SOR project. What is that like? How do I reach out to colleagues that have?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Or hooking yourself to a SAP technology partner like Mindset to know what needs are coming available and what the demand looks like there in the market.
Yeah, some of the learning avenues are maybe not as much available these days, or maybe available differently. For example, SAP community has been a big part of my time, my life personally. And unfortunately, these days it's not really doing that well with their recent migration that kind of gone bad. And TechEd also, when it was in-person event, I mean, say what you want about this globally available digital TechEd, but it's definitely not the same experience as it was before, just because right now you're just sitting there consuming whatever someone puts out in those presentations. But before that, you would go in, you would talk to people, and you could talk to many different people. And it's funny that almost every time you would go listen to keynote, but then you leave, and in the corridor or somewhere you're having coffee, you meet someone and you talk to them and they're like, yeah, forget about it. It's like not going to be the thing. So you get a lot of kind of sacred knowledge in that way. But now I think there are maybe different opportunities than there were before. Maybe they're smaller, like John already mentioned, ASAG in North America. In Europe, there are many smaller community events like Stammtisch and all those gatherings. Like ABAP Conf is actually, I think, starting in June in Germany. That's kind of a sold out event. And I think there are just a smaller communities here and there instead of having like very big global one, which I still kind of on the fence whether it's good thing or bad thing. It would be great to have both at the same time. But yeah, so it is what it is. And speaking of free learning, OpenSAP, as you know, is being sunset in I think July is current date. So SAP will be moving some of the courses to the SAP Learning platform, but some will be just going away. So if you're listening, I advise you to go and just download your favorite OpenSAP courses so that you have those videos and materials to prepare for moving. I've heard several people just doing exactly that, and yeah, there are some really great courses, and I don't know right now which ones will be migrating, which will not. So it's better to be prepared. And free trials. That's yeah. Please go ahead, John.
No. I was going to jump in on something Austin said.
Sure.
You gave the mindset plug there too, which is great.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Our internal COEs were breaking these out all the time into these newer technologies and skill sets. So trying to build both an internal and external community around things like the top topics of BTP, around how to develop. We have channels dedicated to, hey, just ask anything, right? Ask anyone you want, and anybody can reply. And so just a great way of like building community and building strength around all these different technologies as well.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, great plan, John, for roundtables. We had our first ABAP themed roundtable. I think we're going to have another one definitely later this year. So a lot of interest. Many people really want to learn about new things. So which is great. So yeah, awesome. So let's see. So this clearly is still, I think, competitive market for the candidates. In terms of preparing for the new jobs and looking for new jobs, I want to talk about things that potential job seekers and candidates can do maybe better or differently. One of the obvious items, I think, the resume or CV, as they're called in some other countries. I don't know, Libby and Austin, you've probably seen like very many of those. Do you have any maybe tips or tricks you can share what people could be doing better or differently than you're seeing right now?
Yes, Austin and I were talking about this just a little bit earlier today, but I do see a lot of resumes that are 17, 18, 19, 20 some pages.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think resumes need to be that long. I think there is a way to concisely get across your experience in a few pages. And I know there's career consultants that have been at 10s, 20s, 30 different clients, but I think it still is important to try to make your experience concise. Do a nice summary at the very beginning of your resume that kind of outlines your general career path, and then hit on the high points. We don't need you to go back 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely my top pet peeve as well.
Yeah. I'm looking at John as Libby is saying that. No, I'm just kidding.
Keep it relevant.
With your 30-page resume, no. Yeah, just to add on to Libby there, I think, LinkedIn is the new resume, right, in today's market. Majority of companies use LinkedIn to identify their talent, whether that be for consulting, whether that be for contract to hire or direct hire. And so if you do not have a LinkedIn profile, you could be missing out some great opportunities there. A lot of companies, managers, hiring managers, that may not know SAP will be reaching out. And so I encourage everyone to have their LinkedIn profile with your skill sets, with the keywords there that really talk to your experience and background there, because everyone's searching now on LinkedIn these days to identify SAP talent out there. So like Libby was saying, update your summary. I think LinkedIn does a good job of preventing you from maybe doing the long drawn out summary of your experience. So keep it short, keep it concise, really highlight your skill sets, and recommendations too are huge. I think when recruiters like Megha and Libby here and myself see that you're recommended by other people that you've worked with in the past, that really alerts us that, hey, this is a good person. This is someone that we need to connect with, and not if it's not even a good fit for our current opportunity, we definitely want to work with people who others have recommended in the past there. So yeah, just to kind of summarize it up, I encourage everyone out there to really update their LinkedIn profile and make sure it's up to date.
Awesome. So yeah, Megha, any specifics for candidates in India?
I think Elena, Libby, and Austin covered most of it. But if I have to add little things, then, keeping, as Libby mentioned, keeping it limited to 2 pages max would really be helpful, where, the candidate primarily focuses on their last 5 years experience, You don't really need to deep dive into years ago what they have done. The last 5 years, if they focus on and update lately what they have done, what are the things they have upgraded on, and if they can mention those things very clearly in their skill set, and also about I think they should showcase their achievements on LinkedIn or on their CV. It is extremely important how they have contributed and what was the outcome. For example, increased sales by 20% would make an impact rather than just mentioning increased sales in the organization. Those metrics using that metrics would really help them, get their CVs shortlisted.
Yeah. And just to add on that, I think one of the reasons why some of those resumes are 30 pages long is people feel the need to maybe put the job description in there and add everything about the current SAP landscape and environment there. And, that's fine, but it really, you absolutely want to add your accomplishments and what stands you apart from other, candidates out there. And so it's very difficult for us recruiters to identify your achievements and know what sets you apart from other candidates when we're reading a novel in the form of a resume there. So what I encourage everyone to do is put 5 to 10 bullet points of maybe your accomplishments or what you're most proud of in each of your positions there. So that really hits and highlights on what the impact you made on each contract, each company that you were employed with. And I think that really, if you can do that, would stand out amongst the other resumes out there.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to actually connecting with these candidates and they're giving a summary of their background and experience, I think it's important as a candidate that you say the word what I did. I hear we a lot when people are explaining their recent roles. And I think being able to say specifically, this is what I did is also going to set a candidate apart.
Right. I think, adding those verbs like I led or I developed, I implemented or enhanced, I think these things will set them stand apart. And also, the optimizing the CV for ATS, like ensuring your resume is compatible with application tracking system by using the standard fonts, avoiding complex formatting, and including relevant keywords. I think this also plays a major role.
Yeah, and also when especially when you're talking about I specifically, I agree that it's your resumes, it's not your team's kind of list of achievements. So it should be personalized. Also, avoid kind of making up stuff. because sometimes you see there is a kind of a pseudo language, I think, in resumes or some kind of conventions where you see language like I took part of, I participated, and you know what it means. It's like, okay, I've heard about it and I want to mention this keyword on my resume, but I haven't really done anything. So everyone knows it. So maybe just avoid doing that and be maybe more precise, well, like what you have done specifically, because it's very easy to call out during the interview. You simply ask a question, like, can you tell us more about this? And then suddenly person like face goes blank and they're like, I haven't really done anything. I just sat on a couple of phone calls. It's okay, it's okay, but yeah, maybe just don't do that, because it makes interview process really uncomfortable for both interviewer and interviewee. So and then I was just going to say, Austin, funny you mentioned reading a novel, and I'm like, if resumes were actually written like a novel, I would totally read 20 pages. But unfortunately, it's more like the case of people started maybe 10 years ago with one page, and they just keep adding and adding and adding to it, and they never remove anything.
It's important
And
to edit.
exactly. So what you were 10 years ago, it's not who you are right now. You definitely changed. You grew most likely a lot as a professional. So there is no point listing out, oh, I did like a ALV report 10 years ago. No, nobody cares. Like literally, no one reads beyond 2 pages. So you might as well just keep your resume to that. I know I'm guilty. Mine, I think, is 3 pages, 3 pages long, but
Right
I
on.
have nearly 20 years of experience. I think
Okay.
you get a free pass after 10, maybe. You can add, okay, 3-4 pages, I'll give you that. But I think beyond that, it's really
Right.
really pushing it. It's, yeah, please don't waste like trees for printing or, digital space. And yeah, data center power for storing of 12, 20 pages. So yeah, very, very, very interesting.
Right on, Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I would, in light of it being a really competitive candidate market, encourage everyone, if they do get a job description from a recruiter, or let's say a hiring manager from the company, take a look, take some time to really read through that job description, understand what they're looking for, and then tailor your resume to what they need is, right? Look at the skill sets. What are the top skill sets that they're looking for? Make sure that's highlight in your resume there, because I would say majority of the recruiters and companies that reach out to you, that maybe it's an internal recruiter, a corporate recruiter, they don't understand SAP, and they're recruiting anywhere from accounting to SAP one day to Salesforce. So really, in order to stand out and help the recruiter understand that you may be a good fit for the position, is to highlight the keywords as it pertains to the job description there, just to make sure that you're getting noticed, and that when they're doing their Boolean search to look for the top resumes there, that your resume rises to the top there because you got those skill sets on top of your resume.
Yeah.
As long as it's accurate.
Yes,
of course.
of course. And yes.
So does it mean do or don't use ChatGPT to write your resume?
That might be
No.
another podcast.
Yeah.
Another podcast.
So I think it's ChatGPT, and we talked about it a lot in other venues. It's a good tool. It's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Because I personally helped a couple of people who reached out to me on LinkedIn. They're like, oh, I'm trying to transition my career from something else to SAP. So they are not recent graduates. There are people who coming in with years of experience in other areas, but they're having trouble finding SAP jobs because the resume does not reflect any SAP experience so far. They have just maybe finished their new degree or something else. So ChatGPT is actually a good starting point to formulate your maybe introduction or summary, but don't just do like copy pasting from it. Definitely not on your resume, not in your writing, not for any reasons, because people see it. And I think it's not just me. I've heard it from many people that they can read and see immediately, oh, this is like ChatGPT material. So that will be, discovered pretty quickly. Don't just copy paste.
Yes, it's a very good, it helps to get the ideas flowing. It helps to get you started, but don't copy paste.
Yeah. And it actually can help a lot in making your resume shorter, because you can give it in text and say, make it more concise or reduce it to like specific to like just one paragraph. And it's really good at that. And so that's really helpful. Excellent. All right. So I want to kind of start wrapping this up, and we usually try to end with some kind of maybe action item for our listeners and viewers. So in terms of making kind of the best out of rising markets, hopefully fingers crossed in 2024, what can potential SAP job hopefuls do specifically right now to improve their chances of maybe finding new job or better job? What would be your kind of, this is my top advice for the candidates that I'm seeing, and I'm just going to go around my Zoom screen. Libby, what would be a top tip for SAP job candidates?
I mean, this is maybe a shameless plug, but reach out to myself or Austin or Megha.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Top tip.
Yes.
Top tip. So sweet. Austin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, really utilize, kind of like Libby said, utilize your network. Reach out to SAP technology partners like us. We'd be happy to help you out as far as looking for an opportunity and sharing what we know about the market at this time. Every company has their different connections, their different clients they work with, the exclusive opportunities. And so I encourage everyone to reach out to as many staffing firms, to many, as many companies, to as many as their old colleagues, because everyone has different connections and can lead you different paths to your next opportunity there. So don't keep it limited. Don't rely on just one, staffing company to help you find your next opportunity. And I tell this to everyone: as much as we'd love to be the one to place you and help you find your next opportunity, we only work with so many companies at this time here. And so every company has their different connections, work with different companies, work with different hiring managers. So get out there, reach out to people, be proactive, call people, email them, and, make as many connections as you can. The more, the better, I would say, as you look for your next opportunity.
Yeah, and I think as an introvert, I really hate kind of talking to other people like at all. But in this case, especially when you have been laid off or something happened and you need to look for another job, maybe more urgently than at other times, just shamelessly like contact like anyone. Really, I think people sometimes overcomplicate things. They overthink like, oh, what someone's gonna think of me. Really, honestly, nobody cares. If, for example, someone reaches out to me like, hey, can you help me, or do you know of any jobs? If I don't know anything, the worst thing can happen, I just don't reply, or there is nothing. So nothing that you lose from that. So literally just start carpet bombing your LinkedIn connections and everyone, just shake every tree out there. Because desperate situation calls for desperate measures. So
Absolutely.
definitely.
And as recruiters, sometimes we've got a lot of candidates we know for a certain skill set, and we're working on 10 plus jobs at a time. So the more you reach out to your recruiter or someone that you're working with, the more the top of their mind you're going to be to them as the next opportunity comes across their desk there. So
not the time to be shy.
Keep following up with us, keep letting us know that you're looking, because that helps us to know that you're still looking there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Megha, what's your top tip for SAP job candidates?
I think the future outlook for SAP jobs in India is definitely positive, and with the increasing demand and the adaptation of SAP technologies, with the growing demand for digital transformation, I think all the SAP professionals out there who have experience in the emerging technologies and a diverse skill set are definitely likely to have the best job prospect in the future. So please do not hesitate to reach out to any one of us over LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think we're moving away, and definitely it's the right place to land.
Yeah, and like Austin said, diversify your skill set. So diversity is not just good for your investment, but for your most important investment, yourself. John, what about you?
Maybe less top tip and a little bit more SAP market that we hear on the BTP side for skill sets. I'll take it in that direction. Number one thing that SAP is pushing this year is DataSphere. So DataSphere is part of their new analytics platforms that came over from Data Warehouse Cloud and BW environments. BW will be transitioning to that. There's a lot of migration tools available for that. So if you're in the analytics space and you don't know DataSphere, learn it now, quick. That's the biggest top take in analytics. Integrations, we talked about that a lot today. Integration Suite is your tool. Learn that tool. That is on the BTP platform. That is SAP's bread and butter for integrating with all third-party applications. If you're either an ABAP developer, front-end developer, UI5 developer, business process automation, Build Application Studio, as well as Build Code. Build Code is coming out as more of the pro code tool of the low code build tool sets. That is going to be your bread and butter in those areas. So hopefully some top tools that you guys can learn and be skilled in as SAP future changes here.
Yeah, and build code unfortunately is not for ABAP, which I think many people misunderstand for some reason. But yeah, for ABAP developers, definitely learning ABAP prep, that's been the thing for several years already. Right now, I think the time is really critical because it has evolved quite a bit in the last few years, and now I think it's in very good shape when it's gone through some turbulations, but now it's pretty stable, and there are lots of materials from SAP to learn about it. And as John said, just get a free trial and just try something out. Thankfully, ABAP platform also reason from the dead that the trial on Docker is now available and even upgraded to 2022. So really any excuse to try something new has been removed. And that should also help you to put some keywords on your resume. So not just I joined the Zoom call on this subject, but really just use free offerings to try something, and then you can talk about this when you're looking for your next opportunity. Excellent. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today, and I hope we will see you maybe next year on another conversation about SAP job market. And happy job hunting, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.